This is the A to Z podcast. Expert insights on leadership, business, real estate, investing, and
As the saying goes, culture is a strategy for a breakfast. If you don't know the power of culture, you may over depend on your strategies, plans, and so on and so forth. But culture has more power than the other things that you do to get competitive advantage. I actually call culture God, small g, because it molds our thinking, our behaviors, how we make decisions and act. And if you want to succeed as a team and organization, you want to make sure that you take culture seriously. In my book, Culture That Works, I provided a framework on how to form, reform, and evolve your culture. It's filled with so many stories, some stories from different countries. These are companies that took culture seriously. For example, from the United States, the US Navy, Ritz-Carlton Hotels, from Ethiopia, Ethiopian Airlines, and Haile Hotels and Resorts, and many, many other stories. These companies, they understand that culture is key for their competitive advantage. And therefore, they have so many guardrails that they put to make sure that not only they build a vibrant culture, but also to protect that culture. And today, I'm going to share with you three guardrails that such companies that take culture seriously put in place. Hopefully, one or more of these may resonate with you in nurturing and protecting your culture. The first one, we have many options on how to protect our culture. We can protect our culture from outside, at the gates, or maybe within, which means once somebody is in. A bad apple may get in, and you find a way either to change them or to fire them. That's one option to protect the culture. But that's costly, very costly. There is a chance also that person could crack the culture, corrupt the culture, compromise the culture, to say the least. And therefore, many companies, what they do is they filter at the gate. The way they do it differs from company to company, from one team to another team. I'm going to share with you one common approach that they use to filter and bring in only people who align with the culture. And this is a real story, but I try to make sure that I'm not giving away the name of the organization and the person. This person is a hiring manager. Consider him as a CEO or a human resource manager. Whenever there is a key hire, he involves. Yes, first, the recruiters, they check resumes sometimes with the help of robot resume. They check, filter, and shortlist. And these recruiters may have one-on-one interview with the candidate. The questions could be just yes or no, which doesn't work. Or it could be behavioral based, which I recommend. But this is not enough for companies who are serious about culture. They go the extra mile. One of the ways they do is this hiring manager, for example, a CEO or a hiring manager, he waits the candidate at the gate while the candidate passes through the security check. The hiring manager disguises himself. The candidate doesn't have any idea who's following him, and the hiring manager acts like he's also one of the candidates. He knows at the time when the candidates show up, he most probably talked to that person over the phone or Zooms, so they know who they are, and therefore they wait at the gate and see how that person interacts with securities. And then they follow them as a candidate. They may strike conversation with them sometimes, and they go and see how they interact with the front desk while they are grabbing their badge. And they follow them to the hiring manager office, and as they interact with the hiring manager admin assistant, they're acting like candidates. At one point, while this person is interacting with the admin assistant, they slip away, get to the office from the back, and then they remove everything that disguised them. They be the real hiring manager, and they talk to the person. For them now, they had so many entry points. They could be able to see whether this person is the right person to join the culture. They may see alignment, or they see disalignment. And of course, during the interview with the hiring manager, they may have some follow-up questions. They may even bring that up. Look, I saw you do this and that. What was that? And they could be able to get more context. The power of that is because when you hire someone to come to your culture, you can't just depend on resume and interview. That's not enough. They go the extra mile. The second approach they follow is common to retail industries. In the retail industry, sometimes they hire shoppers. These are disguised shoppers. They are testing, stress testing that retail company to see where the cracks are, where their customers are not taken care of. Right? They're trying to figure out where the weak links are. And in some companies, they do the same thing, which is they hire a consulting company, they bring team members of that consulting company, they disguise themselves as employees, sometimes leaders, or clients. They come in and they're trying to figure out if there are any misalignments, any cracks, any subcultures that are misaligned with the mainstream culture. They are insiders spying about the culture, how it's performing. They are stress testing the culture, which means they don't depend on their own view of how the culture is performing. In most cases, we're biased. I can give you a good example. Once I was brought in to see whether there is cultural alignment. When I came to talk to the CEO, he was like, Izzy, this board of directors, I don't know what they see. They think that there is cultural misalignment. I don't like it, but hey, they're my boss. Just go and do it. But I'm sure when you come back with your results, I know we are culturally aligned. I said, okay, yeah, it could be true. Let me do it. And we've done some work, questionnaires. We asked everybody some questions, and we talked to and observed. And finally, we got the result. The result was misalignment. The top leadership was aligned. Yes, they understand the culture, its cultural values, and they are aligned with the culture in their words, behaviors, decisions, and actions. Unfortunately, people in the middle, at the bottom, and employees, they were not aligned. The definition they have about the cultural values different than the top leadership. The way they define the values and the way they respect these values, protect these values are different than the top leadership, which means there is misalignment. If you trust what that CEO said about the status of your culture, you could be misleading yourself. And that consulting work revealed whether there is misalignment or not, and where the misalignment was and how to fix it. But some companies actually bring actual people disguising themselves as team members, leaders, and also clients. They don't just bring consultants like myself. Of course, we can hire with them like shoppers inside the company. We could do that, labeling them as if they are employees, leaders, and clients. The third story is a little bit exotic. They implement it in different ways, which is outside of the culture, which means the first example was about at the gate you filter before you hire someone, before you bring them in. The second one is, okay, you brought people and now you are stress testing to see whether your people are aligned with the culture or not once they are in. The third guardrail approach is, even if team members, leaders, they are aligned when they are in the culture, some companies, they want to know whether these people reflect and respect these cultural values outside of work. They use different methods. Some of them, they spy you on your social media. They want to make sure that what you say, what you do on social media is aligned with their culture. They may not tell you, but they spy you. Sometimes they may call you to your office and say, we don't like what you do. But in most cases, they just observe you silently, tracking you. Some, they may even go to your neighborhood and the different associations and communities you're part of, and they want to get some feedback about your personality, how you carry yourself outside of the company. They know the consequence, especially in some industries. If you mess up out there, doesn't matter, it's going to affect the company. The mistake the team members, the inhabitants of that culture make, may come and bite them. And that's why they go the extra mile. I'll give you one funny example, but it's a good example. You may not find that kind of things on a daily basis, but you see the extra mile some companies go to make sure that their people are not creating compartmentalization. Two people, one man, another woman, and they're driving on a highway. And it was a busy highway, traffic was jam-packed. And these two, they were trying to find ways to navigate and get to office on time. This person, the man, he was driving and he got a spot where he could be able to go forward, and he cut a lady who was also trying to do the same thing. He undercut her and he moved on, but she didn't let him do that. She honked on him, clasped on him, and then she opened her window and cursed him. And she said so many things. His window was open, so he hears everything she was saying. His intention was not undercutting her. He just got a spot. He was just using that to move forward. He was not in competition mood. He was just trying to find ways to navigate the traffic. But she took it personal. She clasped on him and honked on him and insulted him. And he could see the way she was angry about him getting ahead of her. Now she was competing with him, and she cut him on purpose. She cut him. She showed her middle finger, and she cursed him, and she went forward. He didn't say anything throughout this. He was like, oh my gosh, I was not really competing with her. I was not really doing anything bad, anything unintentionally harming her. Nothing. It's just normal. People try to navigate traffic. That's it. But that was not enough for her. She was just looking at him. She was driving to competing with him. She looked at him. She says certain things and point her fingers. He was just ignoring her, driving, and from the highway, they went to the next road and then exited to an alley, and they both were driving towards the same place. Now his interest piqued. He was like, don't kid me. And she work here? He was like surprised. But he was like, okay, maybe she's a vendor, maybe she's just a guest. I don't know. He was following her. And then they got to the gate, to the garage. She parked, he parked, and he was following her. And then she used her badge, scanned and got in. He said, okay, She may not be a guest. She most probably is a vendor or actually team member. He followed her. She went to a department and sat in her cubicle. Now he knew her department. He went to the head of the department, talked to that person, asked some question about her, and the person told him, yeah, she has been working here for 5 years. Yeah, she's a good person. She gets along with everybody. And then this vice president shared the department head. Look, here is what she was doing outside of the company. We don't want such an aggressive person without any grace should be part of this culture. And he told him to fire her. Now, this, I'm not supporting, I'm not endorsing this, but for this leader, they have a culture, they care about people, they want to respect everybody in the world, and they want to have that kind of people in their company. And this person was aggressive and very brutal on the road. And he didn't want that kind of person to be part of the culture. In your case, you may not go that far, but if it is important to you, what are the legal and ethical ways you could be able to figure out who is part of your culture? First intention is not to disqualify them or to fire them like that person. It could be to educate them and show them how their behaviors outside of the organization, on the cyberspace, in the neighborhood, in other platforms, how that could impact the brand and the culture of that company. Educating them, helping them to understand the impact, if possible, helping them align with the culture, both within the company, outside of the company, without any compartmentalization. Here is the thing. If you want to dive deep and understand the importance of culture and how to leverage its power, I encourage you to check my book, Culture That Works. It's on Amazon. You can get it, $9.99. You can start to read today. And also, if you want us to help you create, reform, evolve your culture, protect your culture, we can also work with you one-on-one or with your leadership or as consultants, whatever works for you. We're here to support you. If you have any question, please reach out. I would love to talk to you and see how we may support what you do. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Until I see you next time, have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.